Christopher Wray told he's never been directed by the president to do anything. Admiral Rogers last week testified before a very, I would say that Claire McCaskill and Elizabeth Warren were even more agitated than me, who couldn't believe that he hadn't been given any extra authority to be on offense when it comes to Russia and cyber. So there are people behind all of these vacillations, and I think it's when we take him on the air in our hour, and I stare at it, and I know we have to come out and say something, but I wish that what we could come out and do was just call BS on him.
The president's most authentic moments are when he's lying. He just misled the American people on Russia, on North Korea, and on White House personnel. He was asked about the Russia investigation and meddling in 18 and 20, and he deflected to the Republican agenda on tariffs, taxes, and the judiciary. Bob Mueller is at his doorstep, and he doesn't know what to do about it when it comes to Russia. On North Korea, he doesn't realize that he is being used in this very moment to legitimize the nation state in North Korea by giving them legitimacy of talks. That is an imperfect equation in diplomacy and for a Secretary of State. In an experienced administration, they can handle it. This president can't. And when it comes to personnel, this is somebody who hired somebody off of The Apprentice. Hope Hicks was an unqualified communications director from the fashion industry. You have a chief of staff who made a deal with the devil. An attorney general is suggesting he needs to be more faithful to the Constitution than to the president. A HUD secretary and a VA secretary under investigation for financial improprieties, and a son-in-law and a daughter who are completely unqualified to do their work. This president, while exuding confidence, just misled the American people over the last 20 years.
You know, and one tidbit about the son and daughter-in-law, did their comment to Geraldo Rivera, which he then repeated? Well, Geraldo Rivera spends hours with them, right? And then tweets that he had a great time with Jared and Ivanka, and that White House that they have to work in, they're wonderful people, but they have to work in some White House that, what is it, as a nest of vipers, snakes and something.
On a plane, or so, maybe that's
and the president likes that.
The president likes that. But what are you, if you're a White House staffer and the two senior advisors, who happen to be the daughter and son-in-law of the president, have just basically told someone that everyone else there is a snake or a viper? Yeah, that sort of cuts against the narrative of a happy crew there.
I don't want to let your comment go, because I think you just laid out everything that's wrong and everything that
we've accepted.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you laid out the vastness of what is wrong. I think it's the vastness of it, and I guess if you could put the sort of bookends at, you know, basically a trade war that nobody is for except him and the other protectionists in his inner circle. You've got Paul Ryan, who never complained about Devin Nunes or the Russia investigation or any of the president's ethical lapses, you know, all, you know, at DEFCON 4 over trade. And you've got everything, you know, so that's the highest level problem they have in policy. You've got North Korea, which is exactly as you described. The Obama administration or the Clinton administration or the Bush administration would have a system for dealing with a North Korea that the South says is ready to engage in talks about their nukes. But there are no systems. There's just a president on Twitter. It's not a real White House.
There's none, and I think it was Brennan on your show, if not one of your colleagues last week, who said there's never been anybody more unprepared to be president of the United States. And that's what we're seeing as a matter of policy and personnel in this administration. As a result of a lot of factors, I would say we've never seen a Republican majority on Capitol Hill less prepared to govern in the shadow of Donald Trump either.
But that's the key point.
And that is what we suffer from.
Because we can't do anything. But look, you mentioned DACA quite correctly. There is a Congress that I believe could legislate about this. Trade. Why does the president have the authority to put these tariffs on? Wait, why does the president have the authority? It's Section 232 of a Trade Act that Congress passed. Congress can revise it. Congress can say no tariffs.
So why don't they do anything?
Because they would have to have the appetite to wrestle back control.
Yes, but then
but
they are the people who can do it, and we should be a little more indignant, in my opinion,
because
as Dave started. I'm now trumping you. But also, we should be indignant at the Congress and at the Republican majority in the Congress.
I mean, you talk to them. What is their explanation?
You just said Paul Ryan's at DEFCON 4. If you're at DEFCON 4, you're the Speaker of the House.
Trade.
Do something. Do something.
Because he's worried about midterms.
Donald Trump has wrestled control of this party. He owns it, and there is no greater political force in the Republican Party than Donald Trump, and Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell cannot beat that back.
The president remains more popular of these Republicans' districts. They have no appetite to challenge him. The only Republicans we have seen speak out against him are those that are leaving office. There's no one in there who wants to face the voters this fall who's willing to defy Donald Trump.
Even on trade? I mean, would it be such a risky thing for
to this point, no one's had the appetite.
I'm not quarreling with you. I agree with that, but I'm saying it's a disgrace,
He
really.
kept saying, this is why I was elected. This is why I elected. This is what they wanted me to do.
He did run as a
That's his
protectionist.
This is a Main Street argument. Listen,
Yeah,
Donald
no,
Trump
that's
doesn't
true.
realize he's making a 20-year macroeconomic argument, which is the fallacy
Donald Trump doesn't know
that
what that
Paul Ryan is
sentence
pushing
means.
back against, right? He's suggesting we can bring domestic industries back and raise wages, and he's ignoring the fact that we will also raise prices along the way. This is a major generational shift in economic policy that Donald Trump doesn't understand. Paul Ryan does. That's why he's pushing back. But in terms of Main Street, in terms of the populist agenda and the people that elected him, I think he can sell this tariff agenda.
Right.
Does Gary Cohn quit over this?
Our reporting indicates he's very close to doing so, yeah.
Kristen
he
Walker
may.
reporting that he didn't sit in his chair with his name card on it.
Yeah, we noticed that
Is he
too.
upstairs packing his
He's
stuff?
got his box ready. I mean, we know he has tried several times in the last couple of weeks to throw his body in front of this. He has told people around him he's still not quite given up hope. He still wants to make one last push to try to get the president off of this. But yeah, everything that we have been indicated is people around him is saying that he's deeply frustrated by this. Feels like he's not being listened to. And if the president goes forward this, it is hard to imagine a scenario where he stays.
Let me give you one more question.
Can I just say one? I mean, this is a huge deal. I mean, what is this somewhat reassuring sort of thing that people can tell themselves? Well, there are some adults there. Gary Cohn on economic policy, preventing a trade war. H.R. McMaster at the National Security Council, preventing a real war. John Kelly, whatever one's questions of him, preventing total meltdown. McMaster looks to me, from people I talk to be very likely on the way out. Is that what your sense is? And Cohn, as you say now, could be on the way out. I think we could be at a level, we could have a level of chaos 2 months from now. The last few months look, relatively normal.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the National Security Advisor, McMaster, certainly, our reporting indicates, I mean, I wouldn't say that he's got one foot out the door, but he and the president do not have clashed about a number of things.
Yeah.
McMaster and Mattis have had...
NBC has 5 sources, and we have reported that McMaster is likely to be gone by the end of the month.
This could be, he's also he's clashed with the defense secretary on this, and that there are a number of reasons to believe that he, who is still also taking a lot of arrows from the outside, there's a lot of people in the conservative, especially the fringes of the conservative movement, who are very much opposed to him, and that there has been attempts to see if, as you've reported, to have McMaster find him a landing spot somewhere else to move him out of this position. So yes, to your point is exactly right. This is a White House that has been engulfed with tumult time and time again. How many times have we been on the show saying this? There may be another